Hello, my name is Dr. David Milgram. I'm a holistic-oriented cranial chiropractor practicing in Flagstaff and Sedona, Arizona since 1983. The key of honoring the physical body is midway between the fourth key of letting go in the emotional body and grabbing hold in the vital body. As Matt Wood said, the spiritual path unfolds, or the secret to the unfoldment along the spiritual path is learning to let go and to grab hold in the right proportion. This is perhaps nowhere more true than in the honoring of the physical body. Within the physical body, we honor it for the uniqueness that it is. This is the opposite of how we honor the spiritual body. In the spiritual body, we honor all as one, as coming from one source. Everyone deserves honor, respect, etc. Everyone deserves honor and respect in the physical, but the way to honor the person, the individual, is to pay attention, pay strict attention, attunement to their individual idiosyncrasies. In Seven Herbs, Plants as Teachers by Matt Wood, the fifth herb, what he calls the fifth guidepost along the spiritual path, is called cat's ears or star tulip. This is a rare and beautiful flower for rare and beautiful people who have rare and beautiful gifts who don't necessarily feel appreciated by the world. The cat's ears listening medicine is the archetypal medicine for the lonely prophet, the oversensitive person who exists as if they have 2 feet, one in 2 different worlds. They often feel torn between the 2 different worlds that they're sensitive to, but their message and their lesson and their process is to be a bridge, is to use their connections to both sides, to 2 different worlds, and be a bridge and bless both sides. The root of honoring the physical body is attuning in. With tuning in, it's like we dial in a radio station and we get the message. We get some reception, but there may still be some fuzz. When we make a tiny little change on the dial, then we get perfectly clear reception. That's called attuning. So attuning is when we make a very tiny little change to create and cause a very big effect. The Bible character that Matt associated with star tulip cat's ears is Isaac, the son of Abraham, who was almost sacrificed and then survived. So Isaac's whole life is generally about happiness. He's happy to be alive. He eats meat. He enjoys the herbs of the field. Tuning in the energy body is raised up on a fine qualitative level when we attune in. When we take what we've learned, what we've tuned into, and sharpen our focus with it. That's attuning. Once we have found our energetic ground through attuning in, we naturally seek to rise up into the stem of honoring the physical body. I call that bridging the heart and mind, bridging the head and the heart. The Buddhists say, let your head be in your heart and your heart be in your head. Let them bridge, let them connect. The person who is a bridge is able to offer to those on either shore many blessings through their attuned connection. The branch, or the third level of honoring the physical body, I call energy. There are many different types of energy: physical, spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, vital, soul. What we are really looking for is a transformation of energy, a spiritual awakening to realize and rise up to our highest mental potential, to have emotional transformation, physical regeneration, vital rejuvenation, and hopefully soul illumination. It all starts with energy, our energy. Where we are really at is really the most important thing to access with regards to our energy. An enzyme is a substance that triggers a whole cascade of changes within the body without using up any energy of its own. When a person who is like a bridge connected to two different worlds uses their energy to connect deeper, they become a cool catalyst. They use very little, if any, of their own energy to initiate a whole series and cascade of transformational changes. With regard to energy, I'd like to talk about a great scientist from 100 years ago, Alexis Carrel. Alexis Carrel had some embryonic chicken heart cells in a petri dish, and he determined how much nutrition they needed per day, and every morning he spritzed that into the petri dish, and every evening he drained off the metabolic waste. Those embryonic chicken heart cells lived from about 1917 till maybe 1940. They lived all by themselves in the dish as long as they had enough nutrition to gain energy and a draining away of the waste material. But something happened around 1940 where Dr. Alexis Carrel gave the job of draining off the waste at night to one of his assistants, and he forgot to do it. The next morning, Alexis Carrel came in and the embryonic chicken heart cells were dead. So the idea is that energy flow in the human body and all bodies relates to receiving the nutrition that we need to create energy and letting go of the waste material that could interfere with sustaining it. In the same regard, and metaphors be with you, in the Middle East there is the River Jordan, and the River Jordan flows into the Sea of Galilee. And the Sea of Galilee has fish and life because it has an inflow from the River Jordan. At the other end of the Sea of Galilee, the River Jordan starts again. So there is life where there is an inflow and an outflow. If there was no drainage or outflow of the Sea of Galilee, it would become dead. So in the human body, these truths may be applied. We need the goods coming in and whatever we don't need to be assisted outwards. Sometimes we literally need to talk to ourselves, maybe in positive body language, to assist that process and to help our energy to flow with life. The fourth level of honoring the physical body I call connections. This is the leaf where the real transformation happens, where we connect. The neck is the connection between the head and the heart. Oftentimes we do know the answer to questions that we think we don't know the answer to, but we can only know the answer when we let ourselves connect. The nectar of energy is in the connector between the brain and the heart. Now, interestingly enough, in The Biology of Transcendence by Joseph Chilton Pearce, I believe 1998, neurological researchers discovered that there is a nerve that goes from the thalamus, from the emotional brain center, straight into the heart without a synapse. In other words, there's direct transfer of information from the emotional part of the brain into the heart with no neurotransmitter necessary to cross a synapse to generate an impulse, to promote a message. In other words, what your heart knows, your brain knows simultaneously, or nearly so. The heart then produces a hormone called ANF, autonomic nerve factor, and that determines whether the body goes into fight or fright or flight or stays relaxed through the vagus nerve of the parasympathetic nervous system. So our ability to be relaxed in all situations relates directly to our ability to stay connected wherever we are at, whatever we are dealing with. The fifth level of honoring the physical body is the flower that I call inner voice listening, inner hearing. I see this as the most major key of all, that we can gain more from listening to our own inner voice than probably anything else in the universe. I stumbled upon this theory one day when I was up at visiting a friend in a hospital who had a major physical accident and lost control of his legs. And he's in a wheelchair ever since. He was looking at the IV in his arm, and he said, "Why did this happen to me?" He was a very strong, powerful man who suddenly had no legs. He said, "Why did this happen to me? What did I do?" I walked out of the hospital and I said, my intravenous, my IV, is my inner voice. I can listen to my inner voice. I can choose not to listen, but I can also choose to listen. And maybe if I listen deeply, carefully, and prayerfully enough, I can undo the need to have a negative experience to get me to get back to being positive and ask honestly, why did this happen? What am I doing here? So the inner voice I see as the great harmonizer of our connections, because we all know we're connected, whether we like it or not, whether we love it or not. We have connections with people, with things, with chemicals, with the earth that we may approve of or disapprove of. Though it's up to us to use our inner listening and perk our ears so that we use our inner voice listening. The sixth level of honoring the physical body, the fruit, I call resonating with laughter, or resonating with laughter again. Those who can laugh are basically well. Those who cannot laugh are usually sick on many levels. There's a great story from the 70s of how laughter can be a potent force in healing. The editor of the Saturday Evening Post in 1976 was Norman Vincent Cousins. He got diagnosed with ankylosing spondylitis, a rare type of arthritis where the ligaments in the pelvis start to calcify, and then into the lumbars, and then the thoracics and the cervicals, and all the ligaments in the body can then calcify all the way up, and it can leave a person unable to move, which can result in death. Norman Vincent Cousins' doctor recommended something to him to see if he could help his condition. He recommended that Mr. Cousins watch 6 hours a day of funny movies. So he rented movies from the 20s to fulfill his prescription of 6 hours of belly laughter a day. He watched movies every day and laughed. Within 2 years, he was completely well. Now, what I learned through the grapevine is that Norman Vincent Cousins also took megadoses of vitamin C intravenously, IV. And that may have also contributed to pulling the poisons out of his body that may have precipitated the arthritis. Vitamin C, of course, is a known natural chelator of many of the heavy metals that cause health problems like lead or aluminum or copper or cadmium. Resonating with laughter is the fruit of deeply attuning in. Resonating with laughter is harmonized by inner listening. Resonating with laughter is the fulfillment of being connected and reconnected. The seventh level of healing and honoring the physical body I call laughter. There is no real laughter without happiness. Laughter lifts us up. Happiness is a funny thing. It can come and go. Recent research in neurology has found the difference between happiness and joy. Happiness is more of a general feeling. Joy is a feeling that's more ephemeral and comes up in the moment. A lot of the hardcore work in honoring the physical body is to get oneself to snatch a little joy out of the jaws of tragedy, or pull some joy out of the jaws of despair. Find what there is to be happy and thankful for, to lift oneself up, and to bless one's physical body. The healing law that's associated with honoring the physical body is called the law of therapeutic seership. Seeing and hearing, trusting your seeing and hearing, trusting your imagination. Imagination is the mode, the attention and access mode for honoring the physical. What you can imagine opens more doors than you can perceive until you imagine it. As in, imagine all the people. So imagination is a potential giant key to opening the doors of your perceptions so that you see things more as they truly are, infinite and eternal. So a really good meditation, a practice, a pose, a posture for honoring the physical body is to imagine that you're a cat. You are a cool cat, hopefully, who wants to be a cool catalyst and initiate a whole series of changes without using up any energy of your own. So imagine, if you're a cat hunting for a mouse at sundown, if you scurry around everywhere, you'll scare the mice away. But if you just learn to find your right place, to be quiet, to listen, to be poised and patient, and yet ready to pounce. You can just put your paw out when the mouse comes by and get your big meal, and get your nourishment. That is the mode of the prophet who's pulling wisdom, knowledge, information from many corners of the universe, from many shores. To be a cool catalyst is the major key to honor the physical body. In the physical body honoring, the resonant brain center that is probably the most important is the brainstem. The reptilian brain that gets such a bad name when it's really just concerned for its own safety, protection, and happiness. Recent research has found that it is not only the brainstem that is learning to respond or react to stress from the outside, but also the part of the brain that is responsible for movement and coordination, the cerebellum, is key in this regard. This is a very important point, in that the part of the brain responsible for smooth movement has also been discovered to be a major learning center as to whether the body jumps and acts out of fight, flight, or fright to protect itself, or whether it chooses to relax with inside. I correlate all the aspects of honoring the physical body with the fifth chakra of communication, where we let our heart be in our head and our head be in our heart, and we let them connect, and we find, hopefully, that the nectar of life is in that connector, that we already know how to connect. It's just getting ourselves to relax and attune in deeply enough to do it. From the cerebrospinal fluid to the spinal canal and ventricles, to the spinal cord and brain, to the first layer of the meninges, the pia mater, we then come upon the arachnoid matter. The arachnoid matter is what's associated with the physical body. Arachnoid is like spider, or like spider grandmother. In Hopi tradition, we're going back now again to the feminine, but on a deeper level. I believe that no matter how long we have not listened to our inner voice, to the divine feminine within, every time we do, we land just like a cat, back on our feet. So the core healing pattern for this key of honoring the physical is to be enlightened as to your own self, to be enlightened according to the unique individual that you are, who is more precious and unique than any snowflake. And so, the healing statement or prayer to honor the physical is, guide me. Please guide me. Help me to connect so that I can be, if not happy, at least have some joy. In level 2 of the Positive Body Language seminars, the meta practicum of honoring the physical body will consist of teaching all the points related to all the plant levels of the physical body, the root of attuning, the stem of bridging heart and mind, the branch of energy flow, the leaves of connection, the flowers of inner voice listening, the fruit of resonating with laughter, and the seeds born within of happiness. And we will also teach adjustments of the ears, for the ear is the big connect here. In the embryo, when we're about a month old and we're all this way, the heart is not here, the heart is here. And the ear is not here, the ear is right next to the heart. And as the embryo grows, the ear migrates up to the head and the heart migrates down into the chest. So originally, the heart and the ear are in the neck, are in the connect. So I'd like to share a vision with you to help your inner voice listening. My body is one ear of corn. Every kernel is a cell. I can listen to my cells or I can ignore them. But if my little cellular babies are crying out, they must have a message. They must want me to know something. I've learned that the body cells basically have about 12 messages. I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. I'm trying to tell you I need rest. I need exercise. Whatever it is, give yourself ears for all the cells in your body, knowing that just as every cell can potentially make many more, one cell's message not listened to can create degeneration of cellular function, also known as cancer. in the body. So give yourself ears, Dumbo ears, big ears, to listen to every cell and bless yourself up. I look forward to seeing you at the upcoming Positive Body Language seminars.